It's All Things Considered and member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, HPR1. I'm Dave Lawrence. We are in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio. This is a very special get-together that we've got going on here. There's a new documentary you may have heard of. It's called Hearing is Believing. It's been included at the Hawaii International Film Festival, and it's by Hawaii-born director Lorenzo DiStefano, and it's about a gifted young artist without sight whose talents as a musician have stunned many big-name stars, have prompted this get-together that we're having, and the documentary she's playing at Medici Supper Club Saturday night, 7:30 show, and it's Rachel Flowers joining us today, our very special guest in HPR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio. Aloha, Rachel. Thank you for coming.
Aloha.
It's great to have you here, and a big NPR fan too, I should note, as we get into the interview that we're doing. I've been watching on YouTube. You're kind of a YouTube star.
Yeah, that's where it started.
And is that where it started?
Yeah.
And that's where people found out about you, I guess.
My interpretations of Emerson, Lake and Palmer repertoire.
That was it?
Yeah.
What's your earliest musical memory?
My earliest musical memory was when I heard... I don't really remember the first thing I heard. I just remember when I heard It's a Small World and the Scottish bagpipes.
And you heard that, and then you were just a little girl.
Yeah.
And then at 4, I guess that predates at 4, you beginning the Southern California
Conservatory of Music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 years old.
Yeah.
And that's where you began the flute?
No, that was piano lessons. Flute was until I was like 10 or 11.
So it starts with piano.
Yeah.
Piano's the first instrument.
And keyboards.
Can you... You're doing that until 10, and that's when you start the flute.
Yeah.
What guided you to a second instrument?
Oh, I was listening to a whole bunch of different things, mostly, when Mom and Dad used to play at a church in San Diego, there was a flute player, and I always liked hearing the sound of the flute, and then listening to Bach flute sonatas.
And can you still remember your mom having a sense of wonder at your musical skill, being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I'm hearing?
I don't know, I think she knew.
She knew it was happening, and kind of, I guess, got used to having this magic around the house. We have you here in front of our beautiful piano.
Bosendorfer.
Bosendorfer.
Yeah.
How does that rank in your...
It's pretty cool.
Okay. And you mentioned the song, backing up to the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned it. It was an ELP jam.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
But the first one that you said was on YouTube. Which one was that?
I think it was Carnival 9, the piano section, which is fast.
You want to play that for us?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. I'm warming up my hands.
Please do. It's a cool room. We keep it cool in here.
Yeah. It's a wild one. here. It's so hard to. And that's like the first half of that.
It's incredible. It's Rachel Flowers here on All Things Considered, and in our Atherton Performing Arts Studio. Mind-boggling. That is really... when a person takes a look, getting back to how you've been exposed, and again, she's playing at Medici's. It's going to be tomorrow.
And then the Blue Note tonight.
Actually, this is airing, by the way, on Friday, so this will be past all that. So,
okay.
So if I refer to tomorrow, don't be surprised or startled. So she's going to be playing tomorrow at Medici's, and people will have a chance to see this live in concert. When thinking about ELP, you're on YouTube. I was doing my homework for this on YouTube, and so much of what you seem to have been inspired by is classic rock.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is it mom? Is it dad? How did that end up being the kind of music that you gravitated towards?
I don't know. I would listen to a lot of classic rock on the radio. I first heard Emerson, Lake and Palmer at a friend's house with mom and dad a while ago. I was probably about 9. And I heard Trilogy playing on the stereo that they had and the synthesizers, and I got my tape recorder and recorded it. And then mom at the time found the best of ELP compilation, and then later on we bought all their albums. So
it comes from a friend's parents.
Yeah.
His
name is McRae.
That's good to know. Well, that's just impressive, because this is a lot of music from before you were even born.
Yeah.
And I'm always, and it happens sometimes. You meet young folks who are really into classic rock. A lot of those songs and bands will live forever, but
Guitars.
Right. You like guitars too?
Yeah.
Name some of the other bands then that you gravitated to besides ELP.
Well, some of Frank Zappa's music. Sometimes I like listening to the Grateful Dead a little bit, little Fish. A lot of wide diversity and a whole bunch of different things.
The Zappa, it's an interesting thing that you mention, and if people take a look at Hearing is Believing, you'll be able to see some of these musical luminaries and both their reaction to Rachel and Rachel's interactions with them. The Zappa thing, how did it end up that you got to actually play with Frank's son, Dweezil?
I did a Frank Zappa tune on SoundCloud, which is another website. It's a lot of audio recordings, but I do a lot of Frank Zappa tunes there. And Dweezil heard my take on these songs, and he knew about me. And then when we went to the NAMM show last year, he already heard about me, and we talked about performing on stage. And then we did the show in Vegas, which was pretty cool. That's in the film.
Right.
So yeah.
And so you had how did you get into the Zappa to begin with as a fan?
Oh, I think that started out with Weird Al Yankovic, Genius in France, because Frank's son Dweezil played the guitar solo in the beginning of that song. So then we tried to find some good examples of Frank's music, and I was reading about him and looked up a lot of these different songs, and a lot of times studying his guitar style, which is very unique style.
Wow, he's a master musician, and certainly a huge loss to not have him. When I was a kid, he was a real big deal, and it was sad when we lost him. But to have that connection to his son,
legacy,
that you have, and
it's pretty wild that I was born on the same date, in December 21st, and the year that he died, 1993.
Right. Oh, so there's another connection on that front.
Yeah.
As a Frank fan, Peaches and Regalia. Do you play?
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Do you play that? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yep.
Would you play a little bit of it?
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Rachel Flowers on All Things Considered.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thanks.
Unbelievable.
It's a fun one. Thanks.
It's you are welcome. It's like chills.
Wow.
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
By Frank.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
Rachel Flowers just blowing people's minds here. HBR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio and the great Frank Zappa's music.
Yeah.
Alive and well. Must have really. You ever sit and do that for Dweezil and just have him kind of? Has he heard you play that on piano?
No, but he's heard my audio recordings on SoundCloud that I recorded all the parts and all
Right.
the instruments.
Right, so he could hear it there. And you've gone a lot further than just impressing him by playing one of his dad's chestnuts.
Yeah.
How many times have you gigged with him?
Twice.
Twice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty remarkable thing.
Yeah.
And some of the other things that I was hoping you'd kind of let me in on. Again, it's Rachel Flowers here. She's tomorrow night at the Medici Supper Club doing a wrap up to a week of appearances she's been doing in Honolulu, based around the Hawaii International Film Festival. Screening of Hearing is Believing documentary about her. The Braille Music Code. I was reading your website and just learning some stuff. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. The Braille Music Code has 6 dots, 3 on the left and 3 on the right. And there are many different categories of Braille, but a lot of it is just done with 6 dots. So like A is dot 1, B is 1 2, C is 1 4, D 1 4 5, E is 1 and 5. So it's all these different the different ways that you use these 6 dots that makes up the letter or the word. So
it's incredible. What a tool.
yeah.
And it's how old were you when you?
I think I was like 3, 4, around there.
Incredible. And there have been adaptive music applications that have helped you out too?
Mm-hmm. I use Sonar, which is a program. Well, I use the Cake Talking scripts. That allows blind users to use the program using the QWERTY keyboard instead of the mouse that a lot of sighted people use. So it's all done with the QWERTY keyboard. So like if you want to press rewind, you just hit W, and then if you want to record, you just press the letter R.
I get it.
Yeah, etc. Yeah.
It's really something with this development of this technique of that you've got, and it's when it comes to your personal favorites and the people after becoming this gifted, I don't even know what to call you, virtuoso artist. And how old are you again? 22?
22.
22.
Yeah, I'll be 23 in December.
All right, well, happy birthday in advance. Happy, healthy
Cool.
wishes for you on that. Talk about the other people who maybe you look at now as critical to helping to nurture this from you and give you the freedom, give you the inspiration to develop into who you are.
I don't really know. A lot of it is I just listen to so many different things, like the pianist Taylor Ikesty.
And how about people who you give your mom credit for pushing you, guiding you, assisting you? I'm thinking of maybe even faculty people like Toby Kaplan Stonefield.
Yeah, flute teacher. David Pinto with the computers and some piano. Grant Horrocks with piano. Brian Hutchison with the computer also.
How about where did the guitar and the ukulele come from?
Oh, I don't really remember. Well, I started guitar. Interesting. I used to just play around with it, but I was doing a water rafting trip with this other thing that I usually do sometimes is the Braille Institute in Santa Barbara. And during this water rafting trip, I was saying I play piano and all this. Says we don't have a piano, but we have guitars. Like, oh, okay, cool. So I started jamming with another player and started, and then I asked Mom to find some Jose Feliciano, listen to some of that, and then it was Pete Townsend of The Who that got me interested in playing electric guitar. So listening to a lot of like Quadrophenia and a lot of that stuff. So.
And you were hearing about these cats on classic rock radio? Is that?
Sometimes on classic rock radio. Most of the time it was also from my family, like my Uncle Lonnie, who played me a lot of The Who.
Okay. So Lonnie gets the Who credit.
Yeah. And then Mom and Dad with Jose Feliciano.
How about the Fish? Where'd that come from?
That I discovered that myself. Because I think I remember because the amplifier that I use a Vox amp for my electric guitar, and there was a preset that said it was the title of one of their songs, "You Enjoy Myself."
Right.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I like to check this out because I was getting into Grateful Dead. So okay, I'll check this out, and I was like, I instantly got into it, and yeah.
Page, right? That's
Yep, the keyboard player.
Have you met him?
Nope.
I'm sure it'll be on the radar coming up. But getting back to the guitar, I was. And when did the ukulele itself emerge? Then
there was a ukulele class at Braille Institute, beginning ukulele. And at that same time, I was teaching myself a lot of guitar stuff, and a lot of that was just pretty easy. I pretty much figured it all out. So
the guitar stuff.
Yeah.
And so this lends itself to doing the ukulele is even easier, I'm guessing. As a guy who doesn't play one, I don't know, but is that the case? That picking up the ukulele after knowing the guitar is pretty simple?
Yeah.
I have no doubt for you from the skills that you've been showing. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do an ukulele jam in a moment. Does that sound cool?
Yeah.
And so when we think of now you have the ukulele, is there a particular thing you like to play on the ukulele? Is there a composition that's either, it could be a pop song, a rock song, it could be something that you learned for the ukulele. What would you like to play on the ukulele?
I don't know. A lot of times I just sort of
improvise?
Sort of. A lot of it, I would think of like songs I play on the guitar, and I already know how to play them on the ukulele or piano or.
What's your favorite on the guitar that you like to play? What's another Zappa? We can do more Zappa if you want.
Yeah, well, that one I actually did do Peaches and McGilly on the ukulele. But a lot of the stuff is hard to do because it's mostly a lot of lead guitar.
Right.
So there's not a lot of accompaniment.
Well, I can suggest one. How about some Boston? That's pretty guitar oriented.
Yeah, that's some fun stuff.
You want to play a Boston song?
Yeah, I don't know all the words, but.
Well, whichever one I'm comfortable with whatever. I've seen you do some pretty amazing stuff with Boston on keyboard, but I just figured.
Was fun.
Yeah, the foreplay long time is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's a fun one. That's a cool organ piece.
Yeah, no, it's a great organ piece. Mm-hmm. So yeah, play anything from your heart that you would like to play. The floor is yours here on All Things Considered.
Cool. I don't know why, but I like playing Drowned by The Who.
Drowned is a great one.
Yeah.
How about that? We'll honor Pete since he was such a huge influence in your life. Mm-hmm. Okay, take it away, Rachel.
Yeah.
Recalling of the days, rippling in the canyon.
the sea. Let me be stormy, let me be calm as the tide in, and set me free. Set me free. Set me free. I wanna drown in cold water, something like that.
Yeah. Amazing. Rachel Flowers.
Thanks.
Covering The Who.
Yep.
And HPR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio, and on All Things Considered. You haven't met Pete yet, or have you?
Nope.
That'd be a huge one.
That was Fish also performs that one a lot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a Quadrophenia song. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I love the ocean sounds on that album.
yeah, that's a great record.
Yeah.
That's one of those big concept pieces.
Yeah.
It's just
I like that stuff.
Right. Yeah, I do too. I actually saw them play that one time in '96. They played the
Wow.
whole record.
Zach Starkey on drums.
Exactly. Zach was on drums. Funny you mentioned it. That was the time they had Gary Glitter and Billy Idol.
Billy Idol.
Were all in the band. It was probably the best version that they did of the
That's cool.
in the modern era of that. Is there? I've also seen. You know what I saw online? I'm hoping you could maybe explain it a little more. It was you with. God, you correct me if I'm wrong. It looked like a chicken foot show. You must have been backstage
yeah.
at.
That was that. Yeah, meeting Joe Satriani
And
backstage
Sammy.
and Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild.
What was that all about?
I did a recording of Flying in a Blue Dream on my keyboards, and I think Joe heard it and he loved it. And I don't remember how it happened, but we learned that they were going to do this show in Santa Barbara, and we went there, and it was pretty cool meeting. I still remember when Sammy, the first thing that Sammy was singing when we were backstage. He was like, "Come on," something like that.
Wow. Right, when you got to meet him
Yeah.
as he was sort of warming up his voice and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was cool.
You play any satch on the guitar?
A little bit, yeah. I don't have the guitar with me, but
Or any satch? I'm saying, would any satch work on the ukulele or no?
not really.
Okay, no problem. And before we get back to piano, anything else on the ukulele that you would like to try? Is there another ukulele thing while we've got that in your hand, considering it is Hawaii?
Yeah. It's a fun instrument.
What's a song that you want to play?
There's a song that I really like to play, but then I don't know how I'm going to end it. It's gonna be a little, I don't really know all the words either, but it's a Sting song from Mercury Falling.
Ah,
So
you want to take a shot at it?
yeah, I'll do a little bit of it.
Yeah, just a taste of it. That'd be
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Let your soul be your pilot. Let your soul guide you. He will guide you well. When you're down and they're counting, when your secrets are found out, when your troubles take to mounting, when the map you have leads you to doubt, when there's no information and the carpets turn from nowhere that you know well, no sinner. Just let your soul be your pilot. nothing like that.
No, it's cool.
Thanks.
That's super cool. No,
Yeah.
you're totally
Thanks.
welcome.
I love that song.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And again, we're in HPR's Atherton Performing Arts Studio. I've got Rachel Flowers with me, gifted artist, playing ukulele for us, playing some piano, talking rock, which is one of my favorite things to sit
It's
around
fun.
and talk. Yes, it is fun. But also on that, both with the Who cover and with the Sting cover, I was listening to some of the words, and I guess I just have a couple questions about when. Do you feel a deeper connection to music on a spiritual level? I guess I'm asking about, because those are both spiritual sort of songs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it is.
that a case? Is that the case with you?
I've sort of noticed this a lot when I don't remember, when I wasn't feeling well, sometimes I started feeling this relaxing feeling a lot of the time, and when I write my own music, I'm always thinking of that as sort of the starting point sometimes, and
That relaxing feeling?
yeah.
And this will happen times you don't feel good, you'll suddenly feel, can you try to describe it to me?
Yeah, it's kind of hard, or other times when I'm sad, or earlier today, I felt it a lot. It makes me calm.
And you connect that to a spiritual element of some kind.
Yeah, some kind of something like that.
Are you religious?
I don't really know a lot, but I was always interested listening to different styles of music and singing.
Do you believe in God?
I think so, yeah.
You do?
Mom and Dad used to go to church a lot, and they'd play music and they'd sing a lot of the time.
Thinking about that good feeling that you just mentioned, have you ever sort of had, and I'm just curious about this sort of thing, so forgive me for wondering, but
it's fascinating.
have you ever had any realizations through dreams or just in your thinking that made you feel kind of like when you talk about when you're not feeling good, you get this good feeling will arrive. Are there other times that you get a feeling like there's a higher power present?
Thanks. Yeah, sort of feels like that.
That is what it feels like.
I remember like my grandpa after he passed away, and then Keith Emerson, which was the toughest for a while because he was struggling with his playing abilities. But I like thinking about the good things that he did, the legacy that he brought, and a lot of his music. Sometimes I would always have these dreams that a lot of people would sort of show up. Like I have dreams where my grandpa shows up and he's just really happy. Yeah, it's nice.
And that happens more than once? And you were close to him?
Yeah.
And has Keith showed up in your dream? No. You were not close to Keith, though?
No.
You had met him, though?
Yeah, couple times. It was pretty cool.
Talk about that.
Yeah. I think the first time I met him was, what was that place? It was at a restaurant where he was conducting with the symphony orchestra, and he gave me a baton, and then we talked for a while about a lot of things, about jazz singers, and I think Sarah Vaughan was playing on the speaker, and we were both sort of talking about the same thing. At the time he was working on the Doors tribute, and I got to check that out later on. It's pretty wild.
He must have been pretty impressed with you.
Yeah, he was very impressed with my interpretations
of his stuff.
Yeah, not just from ELP, but from the Nice back in the late 60s.
Right, the band before that.
Yeah.
And Keith was a really gifted guy, so I can only imagine what his impression would have been. And
so cool.
So on the note of, do you talked about your grandfather. Are there other times that you sort of can feel the presence of things that you don't have sight, but yet
Yeah.
there are other. I've done a few interviews with people who do not have sight on my show to try.
Wow.
I'm on National Federation of the Blind.
Ah.
Some other groups that I try to support with the segment I do, and sometimes
Wow.
I've had people tell me. And I'll just run this by you, and you'll tell me if it means anything to you.
Okay.
I had this friend, Katie, who's blind, and she told me they were doing a bike trip, and she could feel the trees.
Like facial vision?
You tell me, does it ring a bell if you can feel it with
Yeah.
feeling it in your mind? Mm-hmm. Anything like that?
Yeah, I have this facial vision thing. It's like when you feel like you're getting closer to something, even though you're not actually touching it, but you can feel it getting closer.
An object?
Yeah.
Any object?
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. When did the documentary first be brought up to you as something? I mean, at what point did you realize that that your life story was going to get this kind of exposure?
Few years. There were a lot of suggestions for documentaries a while ago, but then Lorenzo got to hear me play at Squashed Grapes, which is a club in Ventura, and he heard me play. Well, it was a guitar player that I used to jam with, and he told Lorenzo about me. And so he got to hear me, and we talked about making a documentary, and so that was where it all started.
It's pretty cool because I'm sure it's going to give a lot of other people hope. It's going to show a lot of people things that are just what the potential of this life can be, and facing adversity, challenges. It's just a remarkable thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And how old were you when your grandfather passed?
Well, that was like a couple years ago, so 2014.
So you're
I must
20.
Yeah, I was 20.
You were 20, and you would spend a lot of time with him.
Yeah. When I was very little, he would sing a lot of songs, and I'd record it. The last time I saw him at the hospital, I played ukulele for him, and I can't remember what I played. I think I was playing Bach or something, but whatever it was, Mom was saying that he didn't talk much, but he liked it a lot, and he smiled, and that was nice.
How often do you see him in your dreams?
I don't know. It sort of depends. It's like out of nowhere. It's like I'd be at some house or some place, and he's like sitting somewhere, just like singing. And this one, it was really vivid. He was trying to remember On the Sunny Side of the Street, and I sang along, and it was pretty cool.
It's always reassuring when that happens.
Yeah.
Almost like a message?
I don't know. I don't really know. It's like in those, I don't know what it is. It's so interesting. And
Sure. Dreams are hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I know that.
I know a lot of my dreams. I make recording notes of them. And sometimes I have these dreams where my voice sounds very strong and there's no break in between parts of the voice in the dreams. It's so strange. But it's like in these, like, they're unexpected. Like one dream, I was singing Love Rain on Me at somewhere I don't know where, but it was like I was in the ocean, and then I was feeling these movement changes as I was singing the lines. It was almost like I was at these different places, but then there was another dream where I was singing Van Halen.
What Van Halen were you singing?
It was their take on the King's song. Girl, you really got me now. You got me so I don't know what I'm doing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dreams are powerful. They're hard to figure out, but I think there is a lot more to them than we realize, and that's what I was just curious about.
They're cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. What's next for you? I know that you have a new record out.
Yeah, Listen.
Just handed it.
Yeah.
Listen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
is what it's called. And this is your first record. It's your debut.
Yep.
These are songs.
All originals.
All originals.
Yeah. Played all the instruments. Did all the Well, my friend Paul also helped out with the final mixing, who's a drummer, Paul Taverner, who I jam with sometimes. And we've played for a while, but he did a amazing job getting my music to sound finalized.
Sure. Yeah, collaboration can help with
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. And so this is a debut album. This will help
Yeah.
represent you as you go forward,
Mm-hmm.
no doubt, and
Yeah.
probably unlock the key to even more gigs, even more performances. Is that your goal, to just continue to be a professional musician?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any
Write a lot more.
of your own stuff?
Yeah, I love doing that.
Right, and break out of the mold of always covering other people's stuff. But
Yeah.
sometimes that can open a lot of doors.
Yeah, I do that. I do that a lot. I go in between writing and then covering, so I like doing that to teach myself how to get like the mixing as close as the recording on like the original album. And I like studying, listening with with really good headphones and listening to, wow, they got the drums mixed on the left side, and oh wow, these guitars are on the right and these singers are on the left, and
The subtle nuance and details of the
yeah,
mix.
yeah,
Right, and I'm sure you notice it in a way that
it's pretty cool.
right, that few
Like
others would.
listening to Abbey Road, that Beatles album, I like listening to that with headphones.
Right, some of those '60s ones have a great way they pan stuff and where the sound is assigned
Yeah,
in the stereo spectrum is. I know what you mean. There's a
Yeah.
lot more attention to that in the old days
yeah, it's pretty wild.
than
Aretha Franklin recordings, the piano's on the right side, and maybe the lead vocals on the center, and maybe the horns are on the left, or
right. Well, those are great sources for inspiration,
yeah,
and that will undoubtedly, you've got a huge career ahead of you. One can only imagine what we're going to have happen with you. Before we wrap it up with you, would you be willing to do like one more song for us?
yeah. I was gonna do one on my first CD.
That would be great.
Yeah, I called it Greg's Favorite. After one time I played, well, for a very brief time I met Greg Lake of VLP, and this one time I sent him some piano excerpts, and there was this one that he liked a lot. So then I worked tomorrow and I called it Greg's Favorite.
First track on the record.
Yeah, first
Is what
track on the
is
record.
what I see here.
Yep.
So
Wow.
before we hear a little composition from you from your own record, real quick, you're going to be pretty historic trip you've got coming
Yeah.
up. You're headed to Cuba.
Yep.
What's the story with that? How did that end up happening?
I don't really know.
But you're going to be at the Havana International,
Jazz festival.
and you're going to be playing with some big names.
Yeah,
It sounds
Chucho Valdez. I think Gusto Amario, Terrence Blanchard, a lot of people.
in all together. You're going to be with them.
Yeah.
In an ensemble.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know what it's gonna be like, but
Right. Well, I'm sure.
I love Cuban music, so
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
I can imagine. And Chucho is one of the most. That's just.
yeah.
You just want to play some, don't you? That's how he is. He's a monster. Guy can roll. But I can also imagine you're going to be playing some stuff from this record. So
Yeah.
the one that you wanted to play, is it Greg's favorite?
Greg's favorite, yeah.
That you'd like to play for us now?
Yep.
And this is, it's All Things Considered, member-supported Hawaii Public Radio, our Atherton Performing Arts Studio. The gifted Rachel Flowers playing some of her original music for us. Take it away, Rachel.
All right.
Greg's favorite.
Yeah.
And from Listen, new solo record
Yep.
from Rachel Flowers' debut album, Star of Hearing is Believing documentary
Thanks.
at the Hawaii International Film Festival. It was part of that by Hawaii-born director Lorenzo Di Stefano, and at Medici Supper Club, happening tomorrow night at 7:30. Really special to have you in the studio.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of South Side of the Sky from Yes.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
you know that tune there from Fragile, I guess.
Yep. Yep.
I figured you knew that.
Bum,
Yeah, that's my jam. I love that. Well, I guess we could have you go out if you don't mind. I know that this program we're on, you actually know the theme song to it. Can you play just a little bit of the...
This is All Things Considered from NPR News.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Hope you had fun today.
Yep.
It was very cool.
That was fun.